people want to have their own business.
Yep.
But they have no idea what it takes. And sometimes emotions takes over. They go maybe too early. And 2 years later, they are broke and they are back at a job. So the whole purpose of this podcast is to actually leave traces of success so people don't have to do the mistakes that you and I did, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Welcome to the Break Free Podcast. I am your host, David Mancilla. Today we have with us Bryan Sweet, and the last name says it all. I am welcome, brother.
So good to be here.
Bryan, tell me your full name. Where are you from, and what do you do for a living?
Bryan Sweet. I'm in a very small town of Fairmont, Minnesota, and I have a retirement planning firm.
Fairmont, Minnesota, retirement planning firm. Beautiful, beautiful. Tell me so you actually advise people on how to retire or how to create a nest egg to retire?
Yeah, we have a trademark process that we use called the Dream Architect that we use to help clients, live the life of their dreams.
Tell me a bit more about that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's something that I created a number of years ago. I've been fortunate to be in a group called Strategic Coach, which is started by Dan Sullivan a number of years ago. And through that organization, I created my unique process, which we named the Dream Architect. But it's a 4-step process that starts with the most important step, which is visioning for the first step. And it's just really talking about what's really important, and if you could accomplish anything in life, what would you want to have happen? And the reason we created the process is we were just finding people were not dreaming big enough or thinking big enough. And so they were just accepting whatever life delivered versus creating what they would really love to have in life. So we wanted to give them a little push or prod in the right direction and help them accomplish big things.
That's wonderful. Let's go back in life, Bryan. Where were you at when you were finishing high school and you had this beautiful decision point? What did you do? What was in your mind? Did you think that you were going to be your own business already by then?
Boy, I certainly did not. I knew I wanted to go to college after I got out of high school, and I went to a local state school about 50 miles away from here. And so I knew I wanted to be in some kind of business. I always liked accounting, but I really didn't know what the heck I was going to be when I graduated. So everything was kind of an experience. And I thought, well, the right answer will present itself given time. And through different twists and turns, that actually is, turned out to be what I'm doing today.
That's incredible. Did you end up going into college?
I went to college for 4 years at college. And in college, I was very fortunate that my college advisor was also a district manager for an insurance company. And when I got really close my senior year, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to be yet or what I wanted to do. And he said, well, why don't you become an insurance agent? And if nothing else, it'll be great experience. It'll look good in your resume, and you'll get, some real life experience out in the real world, if you will. And so I said, well, I don't have anything more planned, so I would definitely give that a shot. And as things developed, we just kind of expanded into other areas, and was very fortunate to continue to run into some amazing mentors that have gave me great guidance. And fortunately, I took their advice over the years, and things just continued to progress.
So, Bryan, you were saying that your advisor at the college was telling you that you should look into becoming an insurance agent, right?
Yeah, he was, like I said, he was a district manager in addition to teaching at the college, and I didn't really have a clear direction. So I thought, well, the worst that could happen is I get some good experience and then figure out what I wanted to do longer term after that.
Wow. So you graduated college and did you follow his advice?
Yeah, right out of college. Actually, my senior year of college, starting in December of my senior year of college, I started selling insurance on the side while I was still in school finishing up.
Wow. One of my last jobs was a senior management position in computer science and one of the largest insurance companies here in town. This town also is the hub for insurance headquarters in Canada. And so I got to know how the insurance system worked and how insurance agents worked, and all of them are independent. So basically, you're your own boss and you produce your own income. That's gotta be hard. Like, how did you started that just as a student?
I think it probably was good that I did start while I was a student, because I probably just didn't know any better. And so it just forced me that I needed to, get things to happen or people to take action for me to, move forward and get better. And so I think that was helpful because it caused me to want to learn how to be better at the profession much quicker. And so I think, looking back, I think that's actually a good thing that I didn't know any different.
Wonderful. So did you get any training from them, or like how was that experience?
Yeah, my district manager was really good while I was, still in college, and he did everything from help teach me how to tie a tie. I didn't even know how to do that back then. To he was in the marketing department. He was the number one teacher, voted the number one teacher at the college for 3 years in a row that I was there, and so he was really good about teaching relationship skills and how to talk to people and how to move conversations forward. And then when I actually got with an insurance company, they provided different amounts of training. And then I've always been kind of a self-learner, or a lifetime learner, maybe is a better term. And so I was always looking for advancements and things I could do to learn more information on the side in addition to that.
That's awesome. Were you handed a district, or did you get any sales training?
I would say a little bit of sales training, just, the basic things on what to say and how to contact people. And when I first got started, it was really just contacting friends and family first. And fortunately, I knew a lot of people, and then got referrals from there and learned some of those things. But I definitely got some training on some of those aspects, which was really helpful and necessary. And I guess, thinking back, one of the good things about the insurance industry is they do tend to have better training than maybe the pure financial services arena does. And so when I gravitated towards that, I had a really great background that maybe others didn't have.
How long did it take you to sell your first policy?
Boy, great question. It was probably, I don't know this for a fact, it was either a really good friend of mine or my mother that was kind enough to buy something from me, so I probably didn't starve or something like that. But fortunately, within the first 30 days, I was able to get the ball rolling, if you will. But it was a friend or a family member that helped that.
Do you remember how many phone calls you were doing a day to get clients?
I don't remember exactly, but I do remember that when I think back when I got started, I've always been an early bird, but it was because I got up early in the morning and I started studying for advanced designations. And then once I got my reading done, then I would go to the office and start working. And then, since it was just kind of you at the time and you didn't have a staff and whatnot, I do remember that, 12, 15, 18-hour days were not unusual, because in the insurance industry, a lot of the people that you need to talk to were working during the day and couldn't be reached at, at their homes, or didn't want to get calls at night. So, from like 5 to 9 at night, I remember making a lot of calls. So I tried to have appointments either in the evenings and do other things during the day that, freed up the time to make calls at night. But boy, I don't remember, but I remember it was an awful lot of them. And they encouraged you to, the more you make, the concept of just one more, the one more could be the next big appointment. And so I remember that concept today. And if I'm doing anything, I try to add one more to it just before I, wrap up for the day.
It's funny, that one more strategy, I learned it very early in my life. I went to military school. And every time we will do certain exercises, routines like push-ups, for example, the sergeant will make us do at least 2 or 3 more. So it's like, okay, let's do 30 push-ups, and we'll go 29, 30, 30, 30. And he kept us rotating like for 5 times. So since early age, I got used to that, what you're saying, and it's a beautiful strategy, because you're right. Once you think you're done, your body is halfway done. You can still push and push until, like, you don't know your own potential. And, and that extra little bit is what makes the whole difference.
Yeah, no, and I would 1000% agree. And it's both physical and mental in those capacities, because there's always a little more in the gas tank somewhere.
How did you overcome the fear of rejection?
Boy, I'm not 100% sure. It's just, I think it was one of those things that it was a law of numbers, and you had to make so many calls or appointments to have success. And so I just tried not to take it personally. And, insurance sometimes has a stigma about it that, if you're at a party and there's an insurance agent, they're going to be the last ones that anybody wants to hang around because they're afraid they'll get sold something. But so I just think I developed kind of a thick skin, just knowing that, there's that thought process on insurance in general, and it's just a law of numbers. So I didn't try to take it personally, although, when you had a day when maybe no one said yes, it does get frustrating. And that's really where, you have to keep pushing through. And, when people don't have success, it's because they typically give up too early, and they give up on themselves. And you just stick with anything long enough, you'll probably get pretty darn good with it. But I just think in today's society, we maybe give up a little too soon.
For me was life. My first job, I basically had to get a job pretty quick because I got married very early. My wife and I got pregnant, and I needed to create income pretty quick while I was still in university. So the job that I got was they wouldn't trust me with sales. So the job, it was this company that they had, they sold shampoos and, conditioners for hair. So they will place me at the supermarkets with these tiny samples, and I will stay there for 10 hours every day, handing out samples. It's like, just try it. It's for free. So most people will love a free sample. Like when you go to Costco and you get a free cookie, right?
Yeah.
But believe it or not, some people will say no and don't bother me. So I'm like, oh, how come you're not getting this? And this is free, right? I did that for about 3 months, and then they said I kept begging to get into sales because I knew I could get commission. So they got me into sales, and they told me, you have this district. You're not allowed to phone anybody, because back then, this is the 80s, phoning was very expensive, like, per minute, right?
Okay.
So I actually had to go there with my briefcase and go sell door knocking. Oh my God, I remember the first week, I wanted to die. I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like, because I was soliciting business, so I will go to these distributors that, I knew that they could actually sell to other stores. That was my strategy, because they just told me, you have this district in the city, this is yours. Everything else is taken by other salespeople. But I started knocking on doors, and, I started showing. So what I did is I brought the little samples with me and said, listen, this is You see, it actually was very good product. And to make the long story short, it took me like a month to do my first sale. But then, I got better at it. I got better at the rejection. And before I knew, I hit a client that they started buying product to sell to other countries.
Oh,
So
wow.
they were distributed to other countries, and I became the best salesperson within 6 months.
That's amazing, but what a great idea to leave them a sample. Because then they can try it on their own. It's not taking up their time, but it's an example of what you could do for them if they like what you gave them. And obviously they liked that. So kudos to you.
What a blessing that while your buddies were probably cutting grass in the summer, you were creating a profession. You were creating a job.
Yep.
You were creating your own business, right?
Yep.
Isn't that incredible? What made you choose the whole path full time after you graduated? Because after having a college diploma, especially back then, it would have been easy to get a job, right?
Yeah, I would say having been in the insurance industry for a while, after I got out of college, a couple of things happened. One, I found out that there was a little bit more on the investment side of things that I really enjoyed. Two, I found out that if you worked for one company, that they didn't have the best product or service for every circumstance that you would deal with each client. So one of the things that ultimately happened is I kind of gravitated to being more of an independent insurance agent or / investment advisor, so that I could work for the client and not necessarily the company. Because I fortunately understood early enough that it's the client that pays the premiums or has the investment dollars, and I need to make sure that they're taken care of, and I need to do the things that's always in their best interest. So ultimately, I did go independent, and then I started gravitating away from the insurance aspect of it because in some insurances, like life insurance, you lost control, I guess. So if somebody needed life insurance or wanted life insurance and they applied for it and they couldn't get it, then you weren't able to help them. And what I found is with the investment component or retirement planning, literally everybody I could help. And I had control over most of those circumstances. So it was kind of a little bit of an evolution of one, wanting to make sure I'm taking care of clients, and two, wanting more control so I could help the outcome in each client's situation. And that's kind of how I guess progressed to where I'm at today.
That's incredible. After graduating college, how long did it take you to be independent, to make a salary for yourself so you can sustain yourself?
Oh, golly, I worked up in the town I went to college at for a couple of years, and I ultimately founded my own company 7 years after college. And then I've had my own company. I've been doing this for 41 years. So I've had my own company since 1986.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
When was the first time that you had to hire help?
Well, fortunately, I did that, right when I opened my own office, and I hired an assistant to help me, because I was doing everything from phone calls to filling out paperwork to client service to, everything else in between. And so that must have been, sometime in 1986 where I hired my first full-time person. And I came to find out that is the one way that you can really expand your capabilities, by hiring good people that like doing the things that you don't like to do, so that you can spend more of your time doing, one, that things that are profitable, two, that things that you enjoy. And so fortunately, I got to the point where I started hiring more people a little bit probably in advance of when I really needed them. But hiring has always been a a really tricky thing. I would say I was never very good at it. I realized that we needed it. We was very helpful when we did it, but wasn't a skill set that I had. And it wasn't until I actually hired somebody that took over the hiring of people and managing of people that we really had significantly improvements in results.
Do you have a sales team?
Do we have a sales team? Yeah, I have five other advisors in addition to myself, and we have a total staff of 18. So I've got the president of my company, and Brittany Anderson, and then I've got a COO and client service support teams and other advisors that help us out today. Yep.
That's beautiful. When you hire a first advisor or this person joined, what do you do? I'm asking these questions because people want to have their own business.
Yep.
But they have no idea what it takes. And sometimes emotions takes over. They go maybe too early. And 2 years later, they are broke and they are back at a job. So the whole purpose of this podcast is to actually leave traces of success so people don't have to do the mistakes that you and I did, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we can help anybody. That's going to be amazing. Yes.
For me, my first mistake is when I hired my first person, I didn't know how to delegate, right? The number one problem with me was ego, thinking I was the best at it and nobody else could do it better than me. And I fell in love with my work. I was a programmer, a software developer. So I thought, the architecture work is the best that anybody can do. And I write the best code. And oh my God, if they make a mistake, my client's going to get mad at me because it's still my responsibility. So as a result, I hire people, but I wouldn't let them do their job. Did that ever happen to you?
Oh, no, 100%. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. And it's an easy thing to do because you know what you expect of yourself and you know what the results are. But that's the sooner you can learn that others have an amazing skill, excuse me, and let them do what they do and kind of get out of their way. It's so freeing. Plus, it just makes it frees up so much time for you to do what you're actually really good at and what you really enjoy. So yeah, that's a tough lesson to learn, but I would be in your camp and went through that whole scenario. And like I said, the sooner I turned over the delegation or the hiring to somebody that was much better at it than that's really when we saw some, much better results.
That's beautiful. What was the biggest problem you had to overcome in your business life, and how did you get out of the hole?
Yeah, I would say over the years, it's just creating the right culture in the firm and or hiring the right team. And it's just so critical to get the right people in the right seats in the right bus, if you will. And if everybody has the same passion and purpose to do or help the people you're trying to help, it just makes the whole process that much easier. And I've been very fortunate that Brittany Anderson, who is my president of my company, and I'm in a couple of other businesses with her, she came along, was a client service person for us at one point, and then that person running my office left, and I was looking for a new person to fill her spot, and I hired some headhunters, and they weren't having any luck getting anybody, and finally they just looked at me and said, "Bryan, I don't even know why you are looking for anybody else, because I would hire Brittany to do that job." And I just didn't see it in her, and she's just turned out to be the absolute rock star unicorn that has made lots of great things happen, and that's why she's president of the company today. And also I'm in business with her and a few other ventures. But that, I would say, is if you could get a couple of really right people and then let them do their magic, and then you do what you're exceptionally good at, things just flow a lot better, and it's a whole heck of a lot less stressful.
What a beautiful example of being able to have somebody inside grow. And also, one of the things that struck me is the integrity of the people that of the agency the hiring agency that you acquired. So they gave up their commission for getting you a new person by telling you already have the person. That integrity guarantees them a beautiful future.
Yeah,
right?
Well said. I didn't even think about that till you just said that, but that's 100% true. Yeah, they gave up compensation by telling me the right answer.
It's incredible. It's funny because that's what we try to do at ISU all the time with our clients. Like, we're super honest with them, especially at the beginning of the project. If we think that whatever we do for them will not better their business in some way, we wouldn't take the project. We will tell them, do this or do that, or just hold on your idea until you have more funds or something like that.
Well, I couldn't agree more on that. I would tell anybody that's looking at creating a business life or becoming an entrepreneur, that's just the mentality that you want. Sometimes you want the business so bad that you might want to stretch the truth. Just don't do it. Tell them the truth. Be transparent. It will pay you back so many folds better down the road. I can't even tell you. It's just, that stuff will come back and haunt you if you don't do that. But so I got the same exact experience, David, as you do.
It's crazy because that happened to me yesterday. Yesterday was Labor Day in Canada, so we had the day off, and my kids came over to the house for lunch, and so we went and got some chicken to this, this place that we like, and my wife wanted to bring dessert too, but because it's holiday, there isn't that many places open. So she asked the manager of the place to get some, ice cream waffles to go on, and the guy said, "I will not sell them to you." And she's like, "Why?" "Well, by the time you get them home, the ice cream is going to be melted and it's not going to be good." So he will not sell, and he suggested another place that was open where she could get a better dessert. And I'm like, I told my wife, that's why I keep coming back to this place, because the guy is so honest. He gave up his sell upgrade because he was looking at my own benefit.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, no, and unfortunately not everybody's like that, but they do stand out when you run across them.
Yeah, that's for sure. Bryan, tell me about more about your unique process, because even the name, I'm in love with even the name that you gave it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, why we created it is we just found that when you were a little kid and you were, growing up, everybody had big dreams. And everybody wanted to be an astronaut or a firefighter or whatever it is. And then, you went to school or college, or I'm not exactly sure what even happens, but people start saying no, or that why are you thinking that you can't do that, or shooting on things, as I like to say. And then we let life just happen to us instead of making it happen. And so I've just been very fortunate to have always had a really positive mindset, and it's a lot of the people I've been fortunate enough to listen to. And so I have just found that whatever you think and whatever you keep in the back of your mind or you read, all of those things just pop up on how to get there over time. So if you're thinking about positive things or goals or objectives, those things come into your life. But if you're also thinking negative things, or I can't do that, or that's impossible, there'll be evidence that tells you you're correct there too. So I just wanted to be a person that helped people realize that really anything is possible, and you only get one shot at life. So why not make it the best experience you ever could make it? And think about things that maybe you thought of as a child, but now you want to put them in, the current mode about, if anything were possible, what would you want to do? And where would you want to be? And what experiences would you like to have? And let us help you make them come to life.
That's fantastic. And how is that working out for you guys?
It's been pretty amazing. We have really done a lot in the last couple of years to, promote that within our clients and also just around the country. And we've been in Barron's magazine, Forbes, Private Wealth, Bloomberg, talking about our unique process here just recently. So it's starting to get a little attraction around the country. And one of the other things that we've done recently is also kind of take a new twist for that. So having done the Dream Architect process, which is our wealth management process for 10, 12 years now, we continually kept seeing 4 other problems that came up from clients that weren't getting solved. And it wasn't anything to do with wealth planning, but it was dealing with 4 other areas. 1, purpose, health and longevity, legacy, and experiences. And so we're in the process, Brittany and I, of creating the Dream Architect Life, which takes the wealth component, which we already do, and then we're collaborating with people from around the country that are experts in purpose, health and longevity, legacy, and experiences, and bringing us all together in a 3-day immersive event. It'll also be on video to help people overcome those things, because I wasn't seeing it being done and I just kept seeing the problem. And so I said, let's see if we can't join forces and get some people together that can help, put some solutions to those issues.
It's incredible, because if you think about it, wealth is important, but if you don't have purpose or if you don't have health, nothing matters, right?
Nothing matters. No.
My father used to say, a healthy person has 1,000 problems. A sick person has 1 problem.
Yeah,
right.
And that when you think about it, that is so true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I heard another version is he who has his health has 1,000 wishes. He who doesn't has 1. Same concept, just said a little differently. So I love that. I love that saying. It's because there's probably not a truer one ever spoken.
Bryan, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your time. I'll ask you one last question. I know your time is very valuable. If you had access to a billboard in front of the busiest highway on earth, what would you write in it?
Boy, there's a great question. Well, there's a lot of things you could write, but the billboard's probably not big enough. I would just say maybe a couple quick things for maybe this audience. Don't give up and try and find some mentors or people who you would like to emulate, or you found that they're successful and boy, it would be great if I could experience anything like that. And either read their books, or if you have an opportunity to go to an event or meet those people, try to learn as much about them. Because what I've found is if you spend time and listen to the people that are already at where you want to be, you will shortcut your speed at which you get there, instead of doing like you and I talked about earlier, stumbling over yourself because we didn't listen to people and how to maybe overcome some issues. And so when you take advice from somebody that's already been successful. And if the person isn't a person that you'd like to emulate and they're giving you advice, you may not want to necessarily pay a lot of attention to it.
Yeah, it's like, broke people giving you financial advice, right?
Yeah, good way to go broke, I guess.
Bryan, thank you so very much. I wish you the very best in your endeavors. The door is open for you anytime you want to come here. Thank you. Thank you for your time. If people like to learn more about your business and how to get advantage of your lifetime strategy, how can they get access to you?
Well, our website is sweetfinancial.com, or you can go to mysweetfinancial.com, and we have a retirement learning center there. And then if you wanted to learn anything more about the Dream Architect Life, you can go to dreamarchitectlife.com and we'll learn more about the 5 pillars of that platform.
Fantastic. Bryan, thank you so much. God bless you, brother, and I'll see you next time.
Sounds great, and really appreciate it. And David, you're so giving and caring about others, and such a great opportunity to spend some time with you. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Blessings. Cheers.
That's all for today's episode of the Break Free Podcast. Head on over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Starting your own business can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. Visit davidmansilla.com to pick up a copy of the #1 international best-selling book, Breaking Out of Corporate Jail. Expand what you consider to be possible and reach your full potential. And join us on the next episode.